Welcome back, everyone. Next, we have Stallion Uranium Corp. Trades on the OTCQB under the symbol STLNF and on the TSXV under the symbol STUD. And with JV partner Atha Energy, holds the largest contiguous project in the Western Athabasca Basin, adjacent to multiple high-grade discovery zones, and is working to fuel the future with uranium through the exploration of roughly 1,700 square kilometers in the Athabasca Basin, home to the largest high-grade uranium deposits in the world. Happy to welcome VP of Exploration. We have Darren Slugoski. Darren, nice to see you today. Excited for your presentation.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm looking forward to getting into it.
All right, get into it. Call me back when you're ready for questions.
All right, thanks a lot. Hello, everyone. My name is Darren Slugoski, and I'm the Vice President of Exploration for Stallion Uranium. It's great to be here presenting at this Emerging Growth Conference. I'm going to start with a bit of background on myself. I was born and raised here in Saskatchewan. I grew up on a ranch before I decided to go into geology and pursue a degree in science. So I took that at the University of Saskatchewan. Since then, I've spent most of my career in the Athabasca Basin. I joined Stallion about 3 years ago, which is roughly the same time Stallion moved into the basin. So I'm excited to discuss our most recent projects and where they're going. And I'm just going to start into it. We're going to start with a disclaimer. Please review if you need to. So I'm going to start with an overview of the surge of headlines that are highlighting the growing demand for uranium. And you see them popping up here. You can see that there's reactors being restarted. Existing plants are getting life extensions. Environmental people want green energy, which is nuclear. There's an AI revolution that's demanding massive amounts of power, and those data center developers are even exploring their own small nuclear reactors. Of course, there's Trump. He has signed lots of executive orders. Lots of them are to boost domestic nuclear capacity. And this all leads to a demand for uranium and creates a need for more uranium discoveries. All right, so here's the uranium market, and just discussed, there's going to be a lot of uranium used in the near future. So this slide shows your typical supply and demand projections. And as you can see, there's a significant gap emerging between uranium production and the future demand. This gap is expected to be roughly 240 million pounds by 2040, which is essentially multiple McArthur River deposits that are going to be missing from the supply chain. If you do not know what McArthur River is, it's the largest uranium deposit in Saskatchewan, in the Athabasca Basin. So this is largely driven by the 4 to 12 nuclear reactors that are expected to go online in the near future. That's almost double the amount that are currently operating. But obviously nuclear reactors are not the only thing causing the demand for uranium to increase. We're seeing broader structural trends that are pushing the price of uranium up, largely affected by those previous headlines I discussed earlier. So this leads into our capital structure. And the demand for uranium is kind of forcing our stock price upwards, as you can see on that graph. And as you know, most junior mining companies' stock price often follows the price of the commodity they're exploring for. We are no different. The top graph there shows Stallion stock price, and the bottom one is the spot price of uranium. And you can see that our stock price closely mirrors the price of uranium. And we expect that the price of uranium to continue to increase, which will increase the valuation of Stallion. A couple other things I want to point out. We have 124 shares issued and outstanding. We have a market cap of 62 million. And we are actually fully funded. We just did a raise. We have 15 million in the bank, so we have a lot of cash for exploration. And our insiders and management hold 45% of the company. That's pretty high, but this just shows the faith they have in the company and they really like where we're going. So the price of uranium alone isn't the only driver of value. Here's a table comparing Stallion and some other peers in the Athabasca Basin. And as you can see, we have a producer at the top, Cameco. You have some mid-tiers, including NextGen and Denison, and obviously you have a bunch of junior exploration companies at the bottom there. You have Atha, Sky Harbor, and Arrow, and us. So the big thing I want to point out is we have two clear paths for creating shareholder value. We have the rising price of uranium, which we expect, or we can make a successful discovery. So with our large land package and our focused exploration strategy, I believe Stallion can do both, and even a small success could rapidly increase our valuation, as we've seen with companies like NextGen. So this brings us to our strategy. And our mission is to unlock our large and unexplored land package in the Athabasca Basin. We use key geological criteria to identify and prioritize high potential targets. And then we strategically drill those targets. We are not a project generator company. We are a true exploration company driven by a disciplined strategy to create value through discovery. So we believe there are three things a company needs to be successful in the basin. You need a good team, you need a good geological package, land package, and you need funding. And as discussed earlier, we are fully funded. And now I'm going to move on to the team and the land package. So here's our team, our technical team. Matt Schwab, he's our CEO and director. He has had a lot of success in the basin. His biggest success was when he was part of Atha Energy, and he was a senior project geologist that was on the targeting team, which targeted the Arrow deposit back in 2014. That exact same year in 2014, I was across the project boundary with Pure Point Uranium, just discovering the Spitfire deposit. And what this shows is we have had success in the Athabasca Basin, but in particular, the southwest Athabasca Basin, and that is where our land is located. We also have Knox Henderson. He's our head of IR, and he's been in capital markets for 20 years and has had a lot of success. His biggest success was the sale of the Great Bear Resources Dixie project, which is acquired by Kinross for $1.8 billion. So he's a huge asset on the team and brings critical IR and capital markets experience to Stallion. And here's the rest of the team. So we have Dong Shim. He's our CFO. He's been a part of a lot of publicly traded junior mining companies. Jay Martin. He's the CEO of Cambridge House and puts on the VIRA conference in Vancouver. He's a big asset to the team, has a lot of contacts. Kelly, she keeps us in corporate compliance with all the regulators. Drew Zimmerman, he was our previous CEO, and what he was able to do is put together this land package that we currently have. Terry-Ann Wilicki, she's been a part of a lot of publicly traded and private mining companies. So she brings a lot of experience to the team as well. So here's our land package. We are located in the Athabasca Basin. And the Athabasca Basin is host to the highest grade uranium in the world. There's deposits in the Athabasca Basin with reserves up to 20% U3O8. In second place is Australia, with the highest grade deposits only being 0.5% U3O8. This is why we're in the area. If you want the best, highest grade deposits in the world, you go to the basin. There's no place even remotely close. So here's our land package, and we are located in the Athabasca Basin in the southwest corner of it, as you can see on this particular map. And the one thing I want to point out here is there hasn't been a lot of exploration done in the southwest basin, especially when you compare it to the eastern basin. This is largely due to lack of access. And access is one of the big factors in the discovery of Arrow and Triple R and Spitfire and the JR zone with F3. You can see all those deposits are located very close to the highway. We're a little farther away, which is why exploration is only starting to get to where we are located on the map. So if you were to take our particular land package and put it in the eastern basin near a road, you would have 1,200 drill holes and 1 billion pounds of uranium. At this moment, our project only has 5 drill holes. This means we're truly exploring untested tier 1 targets. So here's an image, and it has all the deposits in the basin. You have deposits in the western basin and deposits in the eastern basin. And the big thing, and you have Stallion's land package there in red. And the big thing I want to point out is if you were to take Stallion's land package and put in the Eastern Basin, we would be hosting 1 billion pounds of uranium and some world-class deposits, including Cigar Lake, Phoenix, McArthur River, and Griffin, and Millennium. We believe those same deposits also exist in the Western Basin, and that's why we're very optimistic about our current land package. So I'm going to transition into our regional framework. So when we first got this project, we had to make sure it had the proper regional framework for hosting a uranium deposit. So when you're looking for a large uranium deposit, there's a few crucial components that are needed to create the deposit. You need a reductant, which is a graphitic conductor. Ideally, you need sandstone cover to act as a fluid reservoir to drive those world-class and large deposits. You need a trap to force fluid to interact with the reductant, and you need to precipitate out uranium to create the deposit. So based on our regional framework, we noticed that all the uranium deposits in the area, including Triple R, Spitfire, and Arrow, occur at the contact of these northeast trending structures, which you can see on that map there. Those structures are the black hashed marks. So we believe this is important because it creates a uranium trap, which is a great target for exploration. And since we're looking for the same structural architecture as those large deposits, we identified lots of those on our current land package, which we want to advance with exploration. So this leads us to exploration. And we needed to identify more of those crucial components to get good targets. We needed to when we first acquired this land package, there was very minimal historical exploration work completed over it. So we need more data to advance our projects from being just a promising idea to tier 1 drilling targets. So we completed large regional geophysical surveys to use our regional framework and generate targets. And from that, we came up with 9 targets, with 9 of those best targets being on this map. So this leads us into exploration pathway. So we had 9 targets. Now we had to prioritize those 9 targets, and we used 11 key geological criteria to rank those 9 targets that were generated from the previous regional surveys. And a few things we looked for were obviously those northeast-northwest structures that are cross-cutting, that could be uranium traps. We want a strong gravity low signature to identify uranium alteration halos. We want a strong magnetic low signature to identify the proper rock type. We wanted a strong conductive signature to identify graphite, which is important to precipitate out uranium. And the strength, size, and shape of these signatures are also a big factor when ranking these targets. And we want all these anomalies in one spot. So after studying each target, we came up with 9 tier 1 targets, which you saw on that previous map. And these are the ones we're going to focus on to advance towards drilling. So that brings us to our flagship project, which hosts our Coyote corridor. And this is a geophysical image of our Coyote corridor. You can see the background is the magnetics. The black hash marks are faults, and the conductors are green. So the Coyote corridor was first identified when evaluating our project's regional framework. From there, we completed a V10 survey and a mobile MT survey, which identified EM conductors. Once we got those results, it became clear this was going to be our #1 target. And as you can see, we have those northeast-northwest cross-cutting structures to create the trap. We have our Maglo signature giving us the proper rock type. And you have the conductors, which will reduce and precipitate out uranium. So the next step was to complete a ground gravity survey and identify any uranium alteration halos to narrow in our targeting. And here are the results from our ground gravity survey. So you can see we're kind of starting to get a complete picture here of the target area. We have a nice gravity low anomaly, which is your potential uranium alteration. You have the anomaly occurring at the same location as those northeast-northwest structures and the conductors. And they're all obviously occurring in the same spot, which is what you want. So if you were to ask any uranium geologist to describe the perfect geophysical uranium signature, they would describe this Coyote target. So based on those results, we completed a 3D inversion of the data, increased confidence and resolution of our drill targets. And you can see that in these images. The top one is the 3D image of our gravity, our previous ground gravity survey, and the bottom is the ground gravity survey, the inversion sliced at the unconformity. So these results of the inversion show us that we have 5 discrete gravity anomalies, which we plan to target with drilling this winter with up to 15 drill holes. We believe each of these targets could be a deposit and mineralization. Another important thing about these anomalies is they are vertically continuous. If you look in the 3D model, you see they start at the unconformity and they continue to depth. So this is this is close to the same signature you get at NextGen's Arrow deposit, which isn't that far away, and this is the model we are comparing our Coyote target to. So since we're talking about the Arrow deposit, let's compare our Coyote model with the Arrow model. And the Coyote target exhibits very similar geological and geophysical characteristics to that of NextGen's Arrow deposit prior to discovery. So this image shows Stallion's gravity results and compares it to NextGen's gravity results from 2014 prior to discovery. As you can see, they both have that gravity low signature. They both have the green conductors, and they both have those northeast-northwest trending structures, all in roughly the same spot. But the big difference is our gravity anomaly is significantly larger than the Arrow's gravity anomaly. Believe it or not, these two maps are actually at the same scale. And we believe we have something similar to the Arrow deposit, but hopefully bigger. We also have those other multiple discrete gravity anomalies that are circled in purple there. And what I see is these other discrete anomalies could also be multiple deposits along the same structural trend as our main target in the middle. So now we have the Lynx corridor. This is another project in our pipeline. And what we have here is similar to Coyote, everything you kind of want in a target area. You have your northeast-northwest structures that are cross-cutting each other. You actually have 2 of those locations in this target area. You have your magnetic low signature, and you have your conductors. The one thing we're missing is ground gravity, which is the next step to advance us towards drilling. And that will give us our uranium alteration halos, which we'll target with drilling once we've completed the ground gravity survey. So here is our Fisher corridor and the Fisher target. And similar to Coyote and Lynx, you have your northeast-northwest structures, you have your conductors, and you have your magnetic lows. But the big difference is there is actually a drill hole located 8 kilometers south of our project boundary, and it intersected a little bit of uranium. It hit 1.39% U308. And what this shows us is that structural trend is carrying uranium-bearing fluids. So what we need to do at Stallion is locate where that is all deposited. And we believe that's in our project boundary. So what we want to do, within our project boundaries, and what we want to do is complete a ground gravity survey, which will identify that uranium alteration halo, which should help us locate the potential Fisher deposit. So to reiterate, we have the 3 keys to success. We have a proven technical team with a history of success in the basin. We have the correct land package, and we are fully funded $50 million so we can do exploration. We want to create value through discovery or multiple discoveries. Like I stated earlier, I think a lot of our targets could have 1 or multiple deposits on them. We are one of the very few companies with untested tier 1 targets. Like I stated earlier, if you take our land package and put in the Eastern Basin, all the tier 1 targets would have 50 to 150 drill holes on it. We get to drill our targets without any previous drilling on it, which means we're truly exploring untested tier 1 targets. So our next steps are to complete ground gravity at Fish and Lynx to identify our drill targets. We also want to drill Coyote, and our plan is to upgrade our EM, mobilize in the drill in December and open up the road, and then start drilling in January. We also want to advance our other 6 targets. Like I said, they are also tier 1 targets. They just need a little bit more work done to get them to the same level as Coyote, Fish, and Lynx. Oops. And that's the end of my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Wonderful, Darren. Thank you so much. All right, we have some questions. Can you speak some more about the previous uranium discoveries your team has been involved with, please?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to begin with Matthew Schwab. He's our CEO, and he's been a part of a lot of pretty big discoveries. I'm going to start at the beginning of his career. So at the beginning, he was part of the delineating the Rough Rider deposit at the very start of his career. And this is when Hathor sold it to Rio Tinto, the Rough Rider deposit, for $650 million. So that was his very first kind of success. But from there, he moved to NextGen, where he was a senior project geologist and on the team that targeted the Arrow deposit in 2014. That exact same year, I'm going to move on to myself now. I was a project geologist for Pure Point Uranium, and we were also in the process of making the Spitfire discovery. Matt got a bit luckier than me, and he had a bigger deposit, but I don't hold it against him. So after those successes, we both ended up at Axiom, and this is where we're on the targeting team for the discovery of the Gemini deposit of 92 Energy. That deposit and that company was later purchased by Atha Energy. And so we hope to replicate those particular successes with Stallion.
Perfect. And do you expect to be drilling your other targets in 2026?
Yeah, once what we need to do is we need to upgrade Fish and Lynx with some ground gravity, like I stated in the presentation. We also want to do some additional ground EM to really refine those targets. And hopefully they're ready for drilling as early as summer 2026.
Perfect. And why are you waiting for the new year to drill?
I'm waiting for the new year. In particular for the Coyote target, it's the ideal time to drill due to its remote access. The access for the Coyote target is significantly better in winter, and we can avoid using a helicopter. This saves us money, allows us to put more dollars into the ground.
And so what type of minimum grade widths on the drill results would you consider a follow-up program?
Since this is our maiden program, no historical drilling, we'd be looking for several indicators that would allow us to have a follow-up drilling program. And in the Athabasca Basin, anything that reads over 500 CPS, if we intersect that on our maiden program, that would be considered mineralized and would be a good starting point. But we'd also be looking for significant alteration, structural zones. And if we get scintillant readings that are in the thousands to tens of thousands of counts, that's when we really start to get excited.
And so what is your current company burn rate before drilling and exploration?
Our current company burn rate's somewhere between 70 and 90,000 a month. But if we did exploration, drilling, geophysics, that would increase that number.
And can you talk about your drilling cost per meter, including assays, and what's the overall budget?
Their overall budget is $5 to $6 million for this particular drilling program. The cost per meter can generally vary between $600 and $800 per meter. But for this particular program, I think we can anticipate around $650 per meter.
And can you talk a little bit about some of your other targets?
Yeah, so we have 6 other drilling targets outside of Coyote, Fish, and Lynx. They're all priority tier 1 targets. They just need a little bit more work to get them to the same level of confidence as our Coyote target. So we're going to progress those this summer and this winter. At the same time, we're drilling the Coyote target. And we do believe that all these targets could host mineralization. So we want to advance them towards drilling as soon as possible.
And what is the annual holding cost for all of your assets in the Sask?
So all of our claims put together require $2.8 million worth in expenditures per year, and that covers 1,700 square kilometers. But Stallion had done enough work on most of those claims that they'll be in good standing for years.
And are you considering projects outside of the Sask?
Not currently, but we're always looking for new opportunities to expand our land package and the project pipeline. So at the moment, we're not actively pursuing anything outside Saskatchewan. But if the right opportunity was to present itself, we would be happy to consider it here at Stallion.
And talk about any strategic partnerships that you're pursuing or earn-ins, anything else?
So our only current partnership we have is with Atha Energy. All remaining Stallion land is 100% owned by Stallion. So at this time, we're not negotiating any other partnerships. But like I said previously, we're always open to pursuing more opportunities if they happen to present themselves, and whatever can create the most value for shareholders and hopefully a new discovery.
Is there any warrant overhang?
There's currently 33 million warrants outstanding, and they range in price from 26 cents to $1.50 per warrant. Only the most recent warrants that are issued are in the money.
And who are your top shareholders right now?
So we have a lot of pretty big shareholders at this moment, and many of our shareholders have been involved in team's previous successes. But Matt Mason is our largest shareholder. He was a strong supporter of Hathor exploration during the discovery of the Rough Rider deposit. He's also an important part of the team for NextGen Energy, and is also a large supporter of Atha Energy. So all of these companies have been very successful, and he believes Stallion can replicate those successes. In the most recent financing, we received a lot of support from some larger funds in the UK, and we also have some very strong support from other key investors in Vancouver and Calgary.
And we have a viewer who's new to your company. Can you explain, or that are you in solely are you solely exploration right now? Can you explain that for our viewer, Aiden?
Yes, we are solely in greenfields exploration. So what's happened in the last couple of years is we had a very underexplored land package, and we went from almost no exploration work to delineating tier 1 targets. And what's happening now is we're now starting to drill those tier 1 targets. So our goal is obviously to find that next deposit and hopefully find the next uranium corridor.
Perfect. Sorry, my TV froze. Excuse me. And can you talk a little bit about the terms with Atha Energy and maybe give some of their credentials?
Yeah, so Atha Energy, our JV, we should almost fully be earned into the JV at the end of this drilling program. And when we are fully earned into the JV, we will have 70% of all the claims that are a part of the JV, and Atha retain 30%. And that's the main, and we will retain ownership, we would continue to be the operator for those particular claims.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Darren. Do you have any closing remarks for our viewers today?
No, not really. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to contact me or Matt Schwab directly. We're always willing to discuss our projects, our vision in more detail. I always do a little better one-on-ones versus presentations. So anyway, feel free to contact me, I guess.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time and presentation, and we look forward to seeing you again real soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, everyone, we'll be right back.